as a faux Christian orthodoxy.
Yeah.
Right? And why? Because they have an escape hatch that Catholics don't have on the evangelical part of their faith of Christianity, which is, hey, I just found out, Adam, that you do all these horrible things. I know. I beg forgiveness from Jesus, my Lord and Savior, and now it's okay.
Cuomo is absolutely right about this particular element, and this is actually where, among certain Christian ideologies, there is literally a war against empathy, a war against Christ's highest law, which is Mathew 22, verses 25 to 40, which is very simple. Love God with everything you have, your neighbor as yourself. In other words, everyone's family. This is so powerful. It is literally, God, or if you don't believe in God, it's literally part of your anatomy. You literally, if you were born without human contact, you die. This is according to the forbidden experiments. And torture that will drive you insane is severe isolation from humans. Now, proof of this is another person who was another potential, quote, Christian, one of these Christians that just says, Jesus Christ is my personal Lord and Savior, and I can do things, and I must stand up, because the only empathy that I have in this world are those people who say Jesus Christ is my personal Lord and Savior, like Charlie Kirk. And so what does this guy do? Check this out.
70 miles per hour. That's how fast cops say a 17-year-old was driving when he mowed down two teen girls riding on an e-bike. Now video has surfaced of the suspect shortly after the crash, laughing.
Out that demonic laugh. He tells viewers it's all because allegedly Maria had made fun of Charlie Kirk.
Whenever Maria sees the pizza guy come, better think of Charlie Kirk for making fun of his death. Stupid clown.
A fellow gamer asks if he'll drive to Maria's house to watch the pizza be delivered.
Oh, I did that the last time, but the mother saw me pull up in the car, and I got tracked, and the police, did what they did.
It's very simple with this guy. See, he actually wanted to date them at one point. He was interested in that, so he knew them. But this is because he has this problem. He believes, like with Charlie Kirk and these other people, all you have to do is say the magic words of Jesus Christ is my personal Lord and Savior, make this particular movement with your arms, and guess what? You're fine. No, that's not how it works. Cuomo is right about that. How you are supposed to live every day of your life is as though your neighbor is your family, as though the people around you are family. When they suffer, you're supposed to do something. He didn't do that. He took their statements as some sort of grand attack against a dead man, when they probably weren't. They may have been their disagreement with positions that Charlie Kirk possessed. But since you don't hold those two girls as close as you would hold family, and hold Charlie Kirk as your brother, you realize that there is an ongoing disagreement within the family over positions that Charlie Kirk possesses. So if that's the case, you can step in between and bring up Charlie Kirk and defend Charlie Kirk's positions and argue with them. But if you stop perceiving the other side as human, and the reason why you do that is because you believe that the way to get into heaven is do this action and say Jesus Christ is my personal Lord and Savior. That's it. No, that's not how it works. Jesus Christ, even in Mathew 22, 25 to 40, even tells the guy who says the words, and he just says, you're on your way, because you're supposed to live that way. You're supposed to do it as often as you can. That's how you're supposed to be. Now, if you're not religious, I understand. If you're not religious, it is the way you're supposed to be. He doesn't. He lost the opportunity to develop a friendship with these girls, which may have evolved into more. But he chose not to. And he chose to take lethal action against words that were being spoken about some other guy, instead of continuing the discussion and defending a position that Charlie Kirk had, or maybe you say, talking about what your interpretation was of Charlie Kirk's position. And since that is not happening, yeah, you get into a car and you drive 70 miles an hour into people and kill them. Why not? Because they're not human. And what does it matter afterward? All you have to do is this and say the magic words, Jesus Christ is my personal Lord and Savior. No, because that's not how it works. They're your family. And so is them. Your enemy is your family. It's where civil rights come from, is that position, is living that way. Understanding, like, how law enforcement officers are supposed to act. Because if you acknowledge the humanity of every single person in a city, and that every single person in that city is family, then you, as a law enforcement officer, will approach every single criminal as though this is just a guy who committed a crime who was part of your family, and you're going to stop him, you're going to arrest him, but you will arrest him with respect. And that's how it works. They don't get away with crime. They still get punished for crime because this is a family member committing a crime against another family member. But you treat them with respect and dignity, and that's where you get civil rights from. That is the difference between owning a person like a slave versus hiring an employee and paying them. Slave, no morality, and you'll find this, that the, quote, Christians who owned slaves throughout history all had that same belief. They just did these gestures and Jesus is my personal Lord and Savior. Poof. And then you can own people and do terrible things. Except if you realize that that slave is your brother or your sister, and that means you stand up. That's how you end racism, by simply acknowledge that the other side is your brother and is your sister. Because if all that you're doing is Jesus Christ is my personal Lord and Savior, then who gives a damn? Then yeah, that person is taking jobs from me. That person is insulting people or things that I care about. So run them over in a car at 70 miles an hour. Who cares? Burn the judge's house down who made a decision that was against you. Why not burn the house down? Burn the house down with the family members in there, because they're all bastards. All of them are against you, and just after you burn the house down, Jesus Christ is my personal Lord and Savior. Not those people are your family. Not the judge is your sister. Her husband is your brother. And her children are your extended family. That is what you're supposed to do. And we don't. And that's the problem. And it's easy solved. Stop letting people who are Christians just say that. All I have to do is say that Jesus Christ is personal Lord and Savior. Open up the book, go to Mathew 22, verses 25 to 40, grab that part of the book, and hit them in the head with it until they get it. Until they get that this, Christ doesn't give a damn about. Christ doesn't want that. Christ wants you to live a very specific way. And your life is living proof of that. This kid driving into two girls that he wanted to develop relationships with at 70 miles an hour, that just because they questioned Charlie Kirk gave him the power to be able to get into a car and drive and run them over at 70 miles an hour. Because all that he would have to say afterward is Jesus Christ is my personal Lord and Savior, and he's as good as good. He's as good as gold. So, like, share, subscribe. Let's have this debate. Let's go forward. Thank you.